Well, over the years, we've highlighted hundreds of hometown heroes telling the stories of those who served our country. 7 News continues in our efforts to say thank you to the military men and women who's given everything. And this Memorial Day, we revisit tales of brave veterans who made the ultimate sacrifice. We begin by paying tribute to Donald Gillett, who was honored by the community of Welsh back in 2024. Here's John Bridges.
In the mid-1960s, Donald Charles Gillett was what many would consider an all-American boy. He went to school with Karen Traha, now a retired teacher.
He was just a fun-loving, I can see this grin on his face all the time, but he knew when to be serious and when to have fun because he was in many positions of leadership.
Gillett's cousin, Tommy, remembers Charlie's parents offering to send him to Canada to avoid going to Vietnam.
Charlie wouldn't have anything to do with it. So he was gone. He'd made up his mind. He's gone to serve his country. That's what he did. And that was Charlie. I mean, he was a hero from way back.
Charlie Gillett died after exiting a helicopter in the jungles of Vietnam. His body was identified by fellow Welsh High School classmate Wayne Finnis, who was also serving in Vietnam at the time.
To bring his body back home and to present the flag to his mother, Phoebe, and his father, Daryl Gillett. And for me to present the flag and to say the words that were so long rehearsed, they just didn't come out very easy. And that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my entire life.
Now the town of Welsh has dedicated 2 markers on the I-10 on-ramps designating the Donald C. Gillett Memorial Interchange.
And I think now each time they turn on to I-10, you will see a sign in honor of him, and that, I think, is at least the least we can do.
He was a citizen of Welch, Louisiana, and he was our hometown hero.
Traha says a poem Charlie sent home to his parents the day before he died says it all.
So, dear God, when this comes to pass, I'll go back and say, I am home at last.
And Gillett was laid to rest at the Oakland Cemetery in Welsh, and he was honored with the National Defense Service Medal, Combat Infantryman Medal, and Vietnam Campaign Medal, and a Purple Heart. Well, this next veteran's family waited decades to be able to lay their beloved relative to rest, and here's the story of another Purple Heart recipient, Private First Class Harry LeBert.
Even 80 years later, it's an honor to be here, and it's an honor to hear his life story and to see how he served his country.
Cameron Foltz, great-grandson of Private First Class Harry LeBert, was one of many relatives and friends in attendance at Westlake's Freedom Hall as the U.S. Marine Corps Department of Defense presented the family with the identification of LeBert's remains. PFC LeBert was part of the campaign to seize the island of Saipan during the Pacific Campaign of World War II.
It took about 24 days for the island to be taken over completely. Unfortunately, on the second day is when Mr. LeBert lost his life due to mortar fire.
LeBert's body was lost in a group burial on one of the many trenches found on the island. Once the war was over, military officials went to check in on the fallen soldiers.
The bodies were a little too far gone where they couldn't be identified. So at that moment, his remains were labeled X-21.
His remains remain at the National Cemetery in the Philippines up until 2022. That's when LeBert's remains were sent to Hawaii for identification testing using DNA found in his bones and teeth.
He had almost his complete dental profile still intact, was very, very, very instrumental into his identification.
And for Foltz, knowing his great-grandfather can be finally put to rest brings some long-awaited closure.
My family is very proud of the work that he did and how he served his nation, especially in such a trying time. I'm just hoping that more families get to experience something like this.
And now we get to plant him, put him in the soil from which he was born.
Private First Class Harry LeBert joined the Marines at 24 years old. During World War II, he fought in the Battle of Tarawa, where he was injured. After getting better, he rejoined his fellow brothers in action. Sadly, he was later killed in action in June of 1944. For years and years, his family waited to give him the proper send-off a veteran of his caliber deserved. For decades, his identity remained unknown until recent advancements in forensic science.
81 years later, because of really the government and really its desire to bring their men home, this time have been trying to identify who Harry was. And today we're here because they did, and he was brought home.
8 decades later, his grandsons and other members of his family finally got their wish. Marine PFC LaBerte was originally from Lake Charles. He holds multiple medals of honor, including a Purple Heart.
There's much relief inside me because we are laying him to rest, and we know now a lot of things that we didn't know before, and a lot of answers have been answered.
Military representatives from all over joined together to honor his life and legacy.
It's the fact that for 80-something years now, his family hasn't had the closure to be able to have his body for a proper burial. And for 80 years, we've lived with the grief, we've lived with the pain. And today, a true opportunity for us to truly pay our respects to this man who answered the call of service.
LaBerte's legacy continues to live on throughout the family, with his son, grandson, and great-grandsons joining the Marine Corps. His final resting place of honor is at the Southwest Louisiana Veterans Cemetery.
And LaBerte's family told 7 News in that interview that they hope that he be remembered as a hero who gave his life in the fight for freedom. Well, last year, over in Eldon, 2 veterans were honored for their sacrifice, and during a ceremony, their families recounted their heroism. Let's take a look.
And for me personally, the hole in my heart of 60 years has been healed.
Says Joanne White, who is the oldest sister of Specialist 4 Albert Billy Saunier, who died fighting for our country on November 15, 1965. Saunier of Elton was an infantryman assigned to Lieutenant Colonel Hal Moore's 450-man force at the Battle of Landing Zone X-Ray in South Vietnam.
I was 10, but I remember the trumpet, the taps, and I remember them, the flag, folding the flag, and just the whole ceremony of the funeral, the military funeral.
Saunier was wounded, and his squad leader, Staff Sergeant Thomas Barrett Jr. of Manny stepped in to assist him, and both died together in the battle.
I was very upset. It hurt me real bad because he loved me, and I was very special to him.
The monument placed at Saunier's gravesite at St. Joseph's Catholic Cemetery recognizes both men's heroism.
Oh, it's a tremendous honor. Having the opportunity to, again, his service, his ultimate sacrifice, given the full measure, and doing it for his country and be honored here in Jennings with Specialist Billy Saunier is a huge honor.
For years, Saunier's gravesite was largely unrecognizable, and now it stands tall, made out of black granite to properly honor his sacrifice.
It's a beautiful thing because now you have beauty instead of just remembering the war.
Yeah, this is his legacy that people can come by and just, people are just visiting or come in and visit other grave sites. They'll see this. So, yeah, they'll just wonder, who is this person? He must have been really important to have something so beautiful. So.
And Saunier is buried in the St. Joseph Catholic Church Cemetery in Eldon, near the church where he once served as an altar boy. Barrett is buried at the Baton Rouge National Cemetery. And coming up after the break, the stories of local soldiers whose families say that they died fighting for what they believed in. Stay with us. Well, welcome back as 7 News continues to honor Southwest Louisiana heroes this Memorial Day. When driving around Southwest Louisiana, you may see several road or bridge dedications, and one is located down Highway 26 near Mitty, a dedication for Cecil Trammell, a World War II vet and Purple Heart recipient.
You don't often see a crowd gathered on the side of a busy state highway, but family and friends of Cecil B. Trammell came here for the official naming of this stretch of Highway 26 between Highway 377 and Mitty. Trammell was killed in action in Normandy, France in 1944. He was the uncle of State Representative Dorothy Sue Hill, who still remembers the day the family received the tragic news.
We were out getting the cows in the afternoon, and the Red Cross came by with a it was a telegram to my grandparents, and they just stopped and said, would you all come and follow us down to Mr. and Ms. Trammell's house, to my dad's mother and dad's. So we all did, because we were bringing bad news.
Cecil never married, so Hill feels naming the highway Trammell frequently traveled will help keep his memory alive. One of his oldest surviving relatives is 86-year-old Gertrude Trammell, who was Cecil's sister-in-law.
When he come home the last time, my husband and I and Amy Young took him to the bus station in Oakland, and that was the last time we saw it.
And as they gathered here to rename the roadway, they honored Trammell's memory with a farewell to warriors ceremony.
The boots symbolizes that the warrior's journey is over with. Placing of the weapon with a fixed bayonet symbolizes that his battle is over with. He may now rest in peace. The placing of the helmet, he doesn't need any more protection. He's protected by a higher being. And the dog tags, that the Lord knows who he has called to his throne, and worthy names are just for us to remember our fallen brother.
Cecil Trammell died August 20th of 1944 at the age of 28.
And Trammell was laid to rest at the Palestine Cemetery in Grant, Louisiana. Well, in 2008, military officials announced the death of Brian M. Thomas, a 22-year-old from Lake Charles, and 7 News caught up with his family after his body was returned to the United States.
From the time he enlisted, Brian Thomas's mother feared this was how her son would come home.
And I begged him not to, but that's what he wanted to do.
Diana Thomas spoke with 7 News on Friday, and although her son will soon be laid to rest, she says he will always be with those who knew him best.
I say is because here is where he lives. He is a very, very, you couldn't help but love him when you met him. He died happy. He died happy. He died doing what he wanted to do, because that's my Brian. That's my Brian.
Along with his loved ones still trying to come to terms with his untimely death, Brian's brothers in service were there honoring their fallen comrade in his final homecoming.
It's always hard to lose one of our own. Doesn't matter if it's male or female, what type of soldier they are. They're wearing the suit, they're wearing the uniform. Anytime you see someone fall, it definitely hurts you. But you know that they were willing to do with that so that I could go on and do the things that I do, and that I will train as hard as I can. But we appreciate everything that he gave, and that no matter what, he will be in our hearts and we'll carry him with us.
The ultimate honors for a soldier who made the ultimate sacrifice.
As the sun sets on the lakefront, Lake area residents lined Bourdelock Drive to honor Private First Class Brian Thomas, the Lake Charles soldier killed last week defending freedom in Iraq.
What he did for us, it was great, and it's just sad that he had to die, but he honored our country, and that's great.
Being a vet, I respect the man, you know.
He did a lot. He gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Everything. He gave everything he had.
While most who came to show support didn't know 22-year-old Thomas, his pastor says he was a double soldier, one for the Army and one for Christ.
But we all know that it's not basically how long you live that matters, it's what you do in the time that you do live.
For those who do know the family, their thoughts are with Brian's mother.
But I know she's going to need friends after this is over, and I do plan to be there for her.
As the procession makes its way through the crowd just 3 days before we celebrate our independence, Suzanne Antoine says she wishes more people were on hand to pay their respects.
I regret that I don't have my own grandchildren here, because this is a moment that it's a memorial. It should be remembered, and I would want them to know why we celebrate the 4th of July, why we're here.
While the war may seem a world away, processions like this and Brian's death put a face on the price of freedom. While this 4th of July will have a whole new meaning for the Thomas family, they say the outpouring of support from the community has helped them through this difficult time.
Oh, we uplifting. We holding on through the grace of God.
A family and a community joined together honoring Brian Thomas, a true hero who gave his all.
Well, family and friends say that Thomas died while fighting for something that he believed in. Well, before we go this evening, we have one more veteran to spotlight, where 14 years ago, on Memorial Day, community members from Jeff Davis Parish gathered to honor Elroy Lejeune. Here's a look at the final farewell.
Family, friends, and loved ones gathered to remember a life taken too soon. Private First Class Elroy Lejeune was only 25 years old when killed in action during the final stages of the Battle of the Bulge in January 1945.
We lost a great guy. Those words were felt by 416,000 families across the United States, describing soldiers who offered their lives defending our country in World War II.
We were truly among heroes. Several of Louisiana's 18 surviving Battle of the Bulge veterans were in attendance. Answering the nation's call as young men, they helped save the world.
We didn't join the service for glory, not for honor, not for lasting tribute. We joined because our country needed us. The world needed us.
Nearly 70 years after his death, Private Lejeune's nephew, John Sims, made right an oversight by the U.S. Army. Never receiving a Gold Star lapel pin, each family member received a vintage World War II gold pin.
But this means an awful lot, because when you lose a loved one, you want to at least know that the government is recognizing it. And they did, but somehow or another, it just fell through the cracks, and I thought I would rectify it.
Of the 180 men in his company, 123 of them also never made it home from World War II. Each one of them today is being honored with a cross and a flag. After raising Old Glory, the bell tolls for all the soldiers who lost their fight. As a final farewell to the warrior who paid the ultimate price, the Lejeune family places poppies on his grave, a moving tribute to his brothers in arms.
It's phenomenal. Look at the community. Almost everybody in the community is here. It's beautiful. And to honor such a man, a forgotten soldier.
Remembering Private Elroy Lejeune, one of the many soldiers who lost their lives and tomorrows so we can enjoy freedom today.
Well, a huge thank you to each and every veteran who gave their lives for our freedoms, and thank you for commemorating this Memorial Day with us. Remember, if you know a hometown hero deserving of the spotlight, you can nominate them at kplctv.com. Have a great day.